Hi, and thank you for visiting my channel. For more information, kindly subscribe and follow. Now let's get started. WWE Hall of Famer Bret Hart has commented on his backstage meeting with Triple H on Raw. The Hitman made a rare appearance on this week's edition of the Red brand. It's not exactly a secret that Hart and the Game have had issues. The two-time WWE Hall of Famer had heat with Levesque for years following the Montreal incident at Survivor Series 1997. Over the years, he has bashed the WWE veteran on multiple occasions. Bret Hart appeared on Raw this week and was involved in a segment with World Heavyweight Champion Gunther. He also met Triple H backstage, and the duo hugged each other in a heartfelt moment. WWE has now shared a video from Raw in which Hart opens up about his backstage meeting with the Cerebral Assassin. Here's what he said about the same: "There's not that many from my generation that are around anymore, so running into Triple H is always a pleasure." He also talked about his in-ring segment. "I don't know if I looked a little nervous. I'm not sure that I was. I think standing in the middle of the ring for a few seconds, this transformation takes place. I think I transformed back into Bret the Hitman Hart for a minute for everyone, and it was fun for me to do that. It was something that was magical that was brought out by the love of the fans," Hart said. H/T Wrestling News: Bret Hart's ex-wife confronted Triple H after the Montreal incident. Mere minutes after the infamous Montreal incident, Bret's then-wife confronted the Game backstage. She asked him if he knew what was going to happen. Levesque told her that he had no idea what was going to happen. She didn't buy any of his comments, though, and said to him that what goes around comes around. Bret's team filmed the confrontation, which was later shown in his documentary, Wrestling with Shadows. The backstage area of WWE Raw was buzzing with activity, as usual, with crew members and superstars preparing for their segments. But there was one man who stood apart, his presence still commanding respect despite his years away from the ring: Bret the Hitman Hart. The former WWE champion, known for his technical prowess and unwavering dedication to the business, had made a rare appearance at Raw, stirring up nostalgia among fans and wrestlers alike. Bret Hart had always been a figure of intrigue. His career was marked by iconic matches, personal rivalries, and one of the most controversial moments in wrestling history, the Montreal Screwjob. Although years had passed, and many wounds had healed, there were still traces of old bitterness in the air whenever Bret was around certain WWE figures. But tonight felt different. There was an unusual weight in Bret's eyes, a vulnerability that had not been seen before. As the cameras wrapped up, Triple H, now an executive but still the Game to those who knew him, approached Bret. There had always been a complex relationship between the two. While they respected each other's contributions to wrestling, their paths had been intertwined with tension. Triple H had been instrumental in the Montreal Screwjob, and though Bret had mended many fences over the years, the ghost of that night still lingered in the background. "Bret," Triple H began, extending his hand. "Good to see you. It's been a long time." Bret looked at him, his weathered face softening slightly. "Yeah, it has," he replied, shaking Triple H's hand. There was a pause, a silence that spoke volumes of the history they shared. "Thanks for coming tonight," Triple H added, a hint of sincerity in his voice. "It means a lot to the boys, and to me." Bret nodded, his mind clearly elsewhere. "It's good to be back, but it's different, you know?" Triple H tilted his head, concerned. "Different how?" Bret sighed, glancing around the room where the younger talents, many of whom had idolized him, were running through their routines, prepping for their matches. "I don't recognize the place anymore. The people, the energy, it's like I'm walking through someone else's dream." The comment caught Triple H off guard. For all their differences, Bret had always been someone who embodied confidence and pride in his wrestling career. But tonight, he seemed introspective, vulnerable even. "Times change," Triple H said cautiously. "But you know, without you, without the legacy you built, none of this would even be possible." Bret gave a small, sad smile. "Yeah, maybe. But it's hard to feel that way sometimes." Triple H, sensing Bret's unease, put a hand on his shoulder. Listen, if there's anything bothering you about tonight or anything else, just let me know. We're past all the old stuff, Bret. I think we're in a good place now. Bret looked down, his emotions bubbling to the surface. The years of physical pain, loss, and heartache had taken a toll on him. Hunter, I've been thinking about a lot of things lately, especially about what wrestling cost me. There it was, the unspoken truth that had haunted Bret for years. His career, as glorious as it had been, came at an immense personal cost. His health, his family, even the relationships he once held dear were casualties in the pursuit of greatness. I never got the chance to thank my brother, Owen, Bret continued, his voice breaking slightly. I never got to tell him how proud I was of him. I was always so caught up in my own journey, I didn't see what was happening around me. Triple H's expression softened. He knew how much Owen's death had affected Bret. The entire wrestling world had mourned the loss of Owen Hart, but for Bret, it was something that had forever scarred his heart. I've tried to move past it all, the injuries, the screwjob, Owen, but it's always there, in the back of my mind, Bret admitted. Sometimes, I wonder if it was all worth it. Triple H, at a loss for words, pulled Bret into an unexpected embrace. It wasn't the kind of hug shared between old rivals or two men tied together by history, it was one born out of genuine empathy and shared pain. For a moment, Bret held on, grateful for the comfort, but also aware of the bittersweet irony of it all. Here he was, being comforted by the man who had played a role in one of the darkest moments of his career. As they pulled away, Bret's eyes were moist, his voice heavy with emotion. You know, Hunter, I spent so many years angry, at you, at Vince, at everyone. But now I just feel tired. And I think the saddest part is, I don't have much left to fight for. Triple H's face hardened, not out of anger but out of concern. He had always seen Bret as a fighter, someone who never gave up. To hear him speak this way was heartbreaking. You still have a legacy, Bret, Triple H said, his voice firm. You inspired generations. You're a hero to so many people. Bret shook his head slowly. Maybe, but heroes fade, don't they? One day, people stop caring. The memories get hazy, the cheers grow faint, and all you're left with are the scars. Triple H couldn't argue with that. Wrestling was a business that took more than it gave, and Bret had given more than most. I just want to make peace with everything before it's too late, Bret confessed, his voice barely above a whisper. You've got time, Bret, Triple H reassured him. There's still a lot of love for you out there. Bret smiled faintly, though it didn't reach his eyes. I hope so. But sometimes, it feels like I'm already a ghost. As Bret walked away, the weight of his words lingered in the air. For Triple H, it was a sobering reminder of the toll this business took on even the greatest of them all. Bret Hart, once the defiant, proud hitman, was now a man searching for closure, a man who had given everything to wrestling but wasn't sure what, if anything, it had given him in return.